So to draft the pocket, one of my subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, everybody. But yes, one of my subscribers asked me to show how I draft my pocket pattern, because I think I made a video where on my corset placement video, so she asked to see how I draft my pocket pattern. So I'm going to show you guys how to get the most amazing, simple, and perfectly done pockets every single time, even if you have like really tiny scrap fabric left. So first of all, you're going to place your front trouser pattern onto fresh pattern paper and draft it up onto your crotch depth or deeper if you want your pockets to be even deeper. But I'm just going to draft it up onto my crotch depth here. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, then we will do the modifications. Now I will extend this my center dot line down to the bottom. Let me draw this with a marker so you guys can see. So now I'm going to slash this line here. Then I'll open one of my dot lines. And I'm doing this because I want to close the dot. And I'm going to close my dot. So you can see. This is because we don't need the dot on the pocket. So my dot is closed. Now I'm just going to place fresh pattern paper here. Next, I'm going to measure 4 inches from my top line on this center front. I'm going to measure down 4 inches. Then I'll connect this line. Connect this line this way. Can you see how I'm doing it? And then just curve my hand like this. So like I'm creating a pocket bag basically. So doesn't have to be perfect. So this is it. Basically you can play around with this, you can do it this way, so just get a nice shape. Now I will just go ahead and use a sellotape to tape this down so it's not moving around as much. Then I will cut this out. So now it's time to work on this. So from this side here, from this side seam, I'm going to take 1 3/4 inches inward, and then I'll take 6 1/2 inches downwards, and I'll connect these points to this point here. Now from this point that I marked, I'm going to take 1 1/2 inches inward again, and I will connect this point here down to a point here. So basically I'm going to draw a parallel line, a line parallel to this line, and just connect the point. So you can make your trouser bag longer, but because this is a tutorial and I don't want to use too much material, that is why I left it at this length. But yes, you can make it longer if you want. Then I'll raise this line up by 1/2 inch and just blend it to this. So I hope you guys can see. So I'm going to label this so it can be easier. So I'll label this point C, I'll label this point D, I'll label this point E, and I'll label this point F. Then this point here, I'm going to label it A, and I'll label this bottom here B. So this line here, I labeled B, this line here, I labeled A. So the reason why I'm labeling is because we're going to cut these apart and then piece it together to create our pocket. If you watched that video, you would see how my pocket was. A, B, C, D is going to become my pouch lining. So I'm going to cut out A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. I'm going to cut out C, D, E, F. This will be my facing. Then I'll cut this out as a whole. I'll cut this exact replica out. So I'll label this point X. I'm also going to cut out X, E, F, and this will serve as my backing. So let me cut it out now so you guys can understand. So I've cut out the separate pieces, so I think it will make more sense to you guys now. So this is my pouch lining A, C, B, D, so you guys can see. I also added 1/2 inch seam allowance all around. This is my facing E, C, D, F, so E, C, D, F. I added 1/2 inch all around. This is my backing EXF, so added 1/2 inch allowance all around, and this is the full lining support, exactly what I have here, plus 1/2 inch of sewing allowance. So now I'll go ahead, so you will cut the pouch lining and the full lining support on your lining piece, or if you have enough material and you don't mind, you can cut it on your fabric piece as well. Or if your material isn't so thick, so if you are making denim for instance, you will need to cut this on your lining because you can't use denim for the entire pocket. It's going to be too thick. So you can either cut it on your fabric if your fabric is not too thick and is appropriate, or you can cut it on your lining. Then the backing and the facing you cut on your fabric. So this is why I said even if you have just a tiny piece of material left, because you only need to cut 2 of these each on your fabric and you cut the rest on your lining. So for the backing, it's XE all the way to the end. You can end at F, or you can choose to extend it all the way to the end. I think if you're having a long pocket, then it would be nice to extend it all the way to the end. So you're going to sew your backing onto your full lining support. You can see it just fits like a glove and it fits perfectly. And you're going to sew your facing onto your pouch lining. I'll go ahead and cut out these pieces. I'll cut these 2 on the fabric and I'll cut these 2 on the lining. Then I'll show you guys how to sew these together and create your pockets. So I've cut my facing and my backing on the calico because I'm using calico for this, and I've cut my pouch lining and my full lining support on my lining. Now I'm going to sew this backing onto my full pouch lining. I'm using blue thread because I want you guys to see clearly what I'm doing. So I'll do the same thing for the facing and the pouch lining. I've joined the facing to the pouch lining and I've joined the backing to the full lining support. So this is what I mean when I say just sew it right, just sew it on top of it. So ideally you should interlock this, or maybe fold it in if you don't have an interlocker. But because this is just a muslin fabric, that is why I didn't bother. So you need to make sure that you sew it such that when you close it together, right sides join. So don't sew this onto the other side, basically. And I'm also done with this. So this is my pouch lining. Now I'll go ahead and attach it to my front trouser. I'll show you guys what to do. So you want to take your pouch lining and your facing and sew it right sides together on your fabric. So I'll go ahead now and notch my 7 inches. Remember 6.5, but we've added half an inch of sewing allowance. So I'm just going to notch this point. So I slanted this part by 1 3/4 inches and I slanted it down to 6.5 inches. But remember we added sewing allowance to the top, so that's 7 inches. So I'll go ahead now and sew this to that slanted point. So I'll just stitch this right sides together on the 2 sides. So I'll do that now and show you guys. So this is what it looks like. Then you will turn it inside like this. I'm going to just clip your seam allowance so it lays nicely, because this calico is quite thick, so this is really necessary. Then I'm going to turn it and top stitch. So I'm going to push my seam allowance to this side and top stitch on this facing. Can you see? So I'll just top stitch down. I'm doing this so that it lays down nice and neat on the inside. So I've top stitched it and you can see it just sits nicely on the inside. So after attaching the facing to the pocket and turning it, you can see how nice it looks. So this is it on the inside. Now before I attach the pocket lining to this, I'm just going to go ahead and sew my dart. You can sew your dart before you start working on the pocket, so you don't have to follow my steps. But I have to sew my dart before I attach the lining. After sewing my dart, guys, don't be like me, I'm just so much in a hurry, so I didn't really take my time to sew this. So once I'm done sewing it, I'm going to place this our lining on it like this. Remember, this will end just in our center front, so it will enter into our center front seam, and you just arrange it nicely. I'll pin it down. Now I'll turn it to show you guys, and this is what it will look like on the outside. So you can see Once you turn it around now, you will go ahead and sew the two pocket pieces together. So I'll just join it from here, join it this way, and join it all the way. This is why it is very important that you interlock the edges, or at least you finish the edges before you start to sew. So I'll go ahead now, join it and show you guys. I need to iron this down, but yes, this is it. This is our pocket. So you can make yours deeper, you can make it wider. That is really dependent on you and your personal preference and what your client likes. So this is it, guys. This is the easy method of drafting this pocket. Even if you don't have any fabric left, you can draft it and it's going to come out looking really nice. And then you have nice support here and nice support here. So ideally you should actually iron on interfacing onto this your facing and even onto your backing if you like, but it's really important to iron on interfacing onto your facing. So I'm just going to go ahead now, sew the second part, and that is it for this tutorial.